So I have something to explain to start off. So the last one, as I fix my mic ever so professionally, the last one of last week was supposed to go up, but there was a recording issue. And now the recording has magically disappeared into what we call the cloud. Well, this cloud says it saves storage, and it just hasn't. I don't know what happened. I can't find my recording anywhere, and by the time I was supposed to upload it, there was just no time. So I apologize. That one, we can kind of blame me for that one. We can also kind of blame Danny for not showing up anyway. We'll kind of see which one wants to take the blame on that. But we're going to kind of try something a little different. I have the format set up to where I can actually show you guys the scores and also the ratings. So we're going to kind of fool around with that today. Excuse the hair day. It's just everywhere right now. It's currently 8:30 and I'm just trying to get this thing, not done because I love talking football, but get this thing on the road. So let's just get right into it, should we? I mean, let's just go into it. We're going to go over week 10 right now, just all the scores and all that fun shit that happened then. And then after that, we're going to go through the rankings and then have a little bit of a powwow at the end of this. So let's get started. So here we go. First, let's go ahead with Ohio State versus Rutgers. Ohio State went ahead, and honestly, that was a closer game than it showed. McCord had an okay game. 3 touchdown passes is nothing to really, if you put 3 on, good for them. Henderson, of course, had 5 for 80. It was a close game all the way through. Rutgers actually gave him a really tough game. As you see over here, it was 9-7 at halftime. Rutgers was up. And then, of course, Ohio State kind of did what Ohio State does near the end, and that's fine. That's completely fine. I get that's exactly how it's supposed to be. And, I said it's new equipment, guys. Work with me. And I think that's, it's a good win for them. It's a good confidence builder, especially Michigan being just a couple weeks away. That's a big, a huge deal for them. Huge deal. Up next, we have number 12, Missouri, at number 2, Georgia. Missouri, they put up a heck of a fight. They went up 7-3. It was 10-10 at halftime. And then, Georgia's talent just kind of pulled away after that. Beautiful game. Beck had a heck of a game. 254 yards, 2 touchdown passes. But Schrader over for Mizzou had 22 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Mizzou is a lot better than a lot of people are giving them credit for. Only losing 9 to number 2 Georgia, arguably number 1 Georgia. That's an okay thing to honestly deal with. Up next, we have Michigan just destroying Purdue. Not a whole lot to really talk about. It's exactly what we thought. The scandal's still going. The scandal's still going and all the dumb stuff that's going around with it. As of this recording, which is on Thursday, the 9th of November, there's been no real word of what they're going to do. I know Michigan's talking about if it's a huge punishment, they're going to seek legal issues, and that can just be a whole cluster, especially with the new revelation that everyone was sharing Michigan signs too as of last season, which is a big deal because if you're going to blame us for it, you better hold them accountable as well. So we're going to kind of have to just see what happens. We can't jump the gun. I don't know exactly the whole story. I think this whole rule is kind of outdated, if that's the best way to put it. It's 2023 and we're still dealing with the same old, and this isn't the 90s, this isn't the 80s, 70s, etc. This is a new generation where we shouldn't be dealing with this just stupid rule. Everyone signs deals. College, high school, NFL. They will all do whatever they can to get that advantage. Even though the NFL, they do the smart thing, put the microphone inside the head. That way it's a one-way. You can call the play, and then it's easier for everyone. How can you sign steal that? But what do I know? Continuing on. So over here, we have Florida State going ahead and beating Purdue. It was a close game. It was 10-7 at halftime. I watched this game, but Florida State is just talent-wise too much. They're just too much. Getting that 14, padding that lead in the third quarter, 24-7. That's easy. Travis had 360 and a touchdown. Benson had 12 carries, 97 and a touchdown. Douglas had himself a nice little game, 6 receptions, $115. I think Coleman was actually out this game, so that's a big thing for them, having another wide receiver step up. Up next, we also have Washington and USC. That was a shootout. It was a beautiful game. I watched this whole thing, too. I was going back and forth with this, and I can't remember which other one. I think it might have been the Texas game. But what a game. Williams had a great, phenomenal game. But this game actually was so bad for USC defensively. They fired their defensive coordinator, which is a huge deal. I think it's awesome, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think USC needs a new defensive coordinator. I've said it since the very beginning. I don't know how many more times I'm supposed to say it until people listen to me. After they struggled holding San Jose State, no disrespect to them, but as soon as they struggled with San Jose State, they should have fired him. Oregon destroyed California as a seed. This was the big game I want to talk about real quick. This is Texas, Kansas State. What a game. What a game. Texas was going to win this. They were comfortable, and then the fourth quarter happened. Kansas State shouldn't have gone for it. They should have gone. They just kept playing overtime. They went for it on fourth, try to get a touchdown, try to win it. It wasn't the right call. I think you keep going because they had momentum, but it's okay. Good for them. Good Texas win. We're gonna see what happens with that quarterback issue we got. And then, of course, Alabama, LSU. That was a bet. I'm gonna be honest with you. That game was like 100 times better than I anticipated it ever being. I thought this was gonna be LSU 42, Alabama 28. I'm buying in Alabama again. I'm 100% here for it. I can't talk any more trash. Roll Tide. Just roll Tide. They're back, guys. Big upset here. Oklahoma State just beating Oklahoma. Last one for the Bedlam. What do they call it? The Bedlam the battle for the Bedlam, I think it is. That's a good win for there. But I can't really say much else besides just great game. I didn't get a chance to really watch the highlights of it, and it's another offensive Big 12 beautiful football. Ole Miss beating Texas A&M. That was a close game. That came down to the last second. This is the last second wins. Ole Miss, though, look out for them, man. Only having one loss on the season, and of course it's an Alabama team which is hitting their stride. Next up we had Penn State. Penn State beat Maryland. They got to get ready because they have a big matchup this weekend against I wonder who. Clemson beat Notre Dame, which was a big game. Clemson jumped out, and then they just never looked back. They held them. I think that's the only other real big game that I really want to talk about on that side. It was a good weekend for college football. I mean, any weekend that there's college football is a good weekend for college football. We're going to go ahead and check these standings real quick, and then we're going to look forward to next week. But one thing I want to say, Florida State. I'm biased, so I'm a Seminole fan. I'm a Seminole, Miami Hurricane, Michigan fan. It is what it is. It doesn't make sense. Don't ask questions. The fact Florida State is undefeated, though, is kind of staggering. They're playing too many close games. Even this Pittsburgh game, which admittedly they blew them out, it doesn't feel like they blew them out. It honestly feels like Florida State is just kind of there. I feel like they're just kind of hanging in games that they should be blowing them out. Like, they haven't had a good blowout since that LSU win. And LSU has proven to be, not a horrible team. 6-3 is nothing to sneeze at, but I mean, 6-3 instead of a 1-2 loss LSU team that we all thought was going to happen in the beginning of the season. Florida State needs to be careful. I think Washington being number 5. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Excuse me. Let's get into it. That's the only thing I wanted to say about this week because that win was unacceptable. All right. Rankings. Now rankings. I'm not using Discord. You're using Discord. Excuse me if you can't really see this well because of bad quality, but I hope you can see it. Ohio State is number 1. Everything kind of stayed the same. Number 2 is Georgia. 3 is Michigan. 4 is Florida State. 5, Washington. Now, this is where I have a little bit of a controversy. I think Washington's better than Florida State, even though Washington has been struggling more or less. But that win against USC is the biggest one, and the win over these guys right here at number 6, Oregon, is another big one. Because Oregon could win that. Oregon can win that championship. They can go into the national championship easily and compete with any of these teams, hands down. Number 7 being Texas. Good for them. Keep winning. You're only going to boost your hopes. One loss against Oklahoma in a rivalry game is not a big deal, and they barely lost it. They went out, nothing else you can do. Right under them, rightfully so. I like how they did this. Alabama's 8, Texas 7, Alabama 8, as it should be. 9, Ole Miss, same thing. I'm okay with that. Number 10, Penn State. Now, I kind of feel like they kept Penn State at number 10 and not 11 just because, they're going against Michigan this week. Spoiler. I think that's just for ratings, if we're going to be completely honest, but whatever. It's fine. Number 11's Louisville, which absolutely. 12, Oregon State. Look out for them Beavers, having a phenomenal season over there. 13, Tennessee. They're not having a bad season either. You know, they lost to Florida where they didn't play really well away, and they lost to Alabama away. You know, two pretty solid teams. I mean, Florida's not any great powerhouse, but SEC team and the Swamp. And the Swamp is something special. I've been to plenty of games, and that's an ambiance. I tell you what, that's an atmosphere. 14, Missouri. Watch out for Missouri. They're having a phenomenal season out of nowhere too. I mean, 7-2, losing to number one, losing to Georgia, and I can't remember who the other one was. You know what? Let me just take a gander. Let me see who that other one was. They lost to LSU. They lost to LSU by 10. So you know what? No, that's a pretty good season. LSU has a lot of firepower over there. I know how professional I'm being right now with these smooth transitions, right? 15, Oklahoma State. They went up 7 after beating Oklahoma. Kansas having another great season. People are not paying attention to Kansas. They're having back-to-back pretty good seasons, so let's keep an eye on that program for the foreseeable future. 17, Oklahoma dropping 8 after, can't lose to Oklahoma State like that and expect to stay ranked that high. 18, Utah. LSU dropped all the way down to 19. Notre Dame down to 20. I think Notre Dame should be kicked out of the rankings, but that's just me. Arizona, watch out for this good Arizona team. 6-3, having a good season. Iowa should not be ranked in the top 25. That is ridiculous. They barely beat anybody, and even though whatever. You know what? Not whatever. Hold on. I'm going to go on a rant. Iowa should not be ranked in the top 25. I don't know who is smoking some really bad drugs. Why is Iowa ranked in the top 25? They have a defense, which is always a great defense, but they have a defense that wins them games. Their offense can't put up 10, 13, 17 points. And you're expecting me to believe that they can beat anybody in that top 20. You're telling me that they could beat North Carolina, Kansas State, heck, even 23 Tulane? They're losing at least 2 of those. This Iowa stuff's got to stop. It's every year. It's every freaking year with these guys. And then, like I said, 23 Tulane, which another great season. Only losses against Ole Miss, which, what a freaking loss. It was a pretty close win, too. I mean, a close loss, too. North Carolina, 24. 25 is Kansas. I have no real issues with that besides the ones like I pointed out. Like, I have just little minor tweaks that I would probably make. You know, I personally think Michigan should be number 1. They've been the most dominant team all season. And put all the controversy and stuff to the side. Let's just watch the season. Have they played anyone? Not anyone big, but they had a good win over Rutgers. Blew them out. Never was close. Ohio State struggled. Now, given it's not like I can go say Ohio State has had really bad games, but they've been in a lot closer games, and, that win at Notre Dame doesn't look nearly as good because Notre Dame is losing to their other teams as everyone is expecting. Maryland gave them a heck of a game, too, given they won by 20 in the end of that one. Penn State, we're going to kind of see how well they were, but they only beat them by a touchdown. Touchdown and 2 points. Maryland, they won. Very good for them. Like I said about Rutgers. I'm interested to see how this next game comes because they're playing at Michigan State this week? Oh, shoot. No, they host Michigan State. They're going to blow them out. I was trying to put some kind of bias in there, but there's no bias there. They're going to blow them out. It is what it is. But, yeah, I'd probably just put Michigan number 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, and I'd put Washington 4. I think Washington's better, like, hands down, than Florida State. Florida State's probably going to cough up one of these games. Even this week. This weekend they go against Miami, and I'll go into it a little deeper later. They go against Miami, and they got to go at Florida to the Swamp. Congratulations, Florida State, for clinching that ACC. Good for them. I like seeing that. I'm a big fan of Florida State. They're doing a great thing over there. Jordan Trask, the quarterbacks, the linemen, the wideouts, the transfers, the coach, the AD. Everyone's doing a great job over there. I couldn't be even more happier for that program. Let's get into this week. Happening right this second is actually Louisville versus Virginia, but I'm gonna pretend it's 0-0 right now, even though it's basically 0-0 right now. So gross. So Louisville is 8-1, 5-1. Great team. Virginia had that one upset against North Carolina and didn't really do much else with it. Is it wrong to say that Louisville should probably go to the Sugar Bowl this year? Or probably go to maybe runner-up in the ACC if they face Florida State. I don't know if they're still doing the rankings or whatnot, but Florida State versus Louisville would be a pretty cool matchup. Louisville's hitting on all strides right now. They're a good team. So, I'm going to pick Louisville on that one. Given the score right now is basically 0-0, so I could be completely wrong. But let's get into the real matchups. We're going to start off at 12 o'clock, noon kickoff in Happy Valley. Number 3, Michigan. Number 10, Penn State. Michigan's favored 4.5. Over-under is 44.5. I'm going to say the most controversial. This is going to sound very homer, and I get it. I understand 100%. Michigan's going to blow out Penn State like they did last year. And this is why. Everyone's been watching how we've been passing more this season. I guarantee this is the game that Michigan rushes for over 250, 300 yards and just down their throats. I don't think JJ has a passing touchdown in this one. I think this one will be Blake Corum, and I think Donovan Edwards finally going to have that really good game that he's been kind of lacking this season. On the flip side, I think our defense is just too good. Watching Penn State against Ohio State, the flaws that you saw in their offense, you can see how you take that run game away and you force them to pass under pressure. It's not going to be a good day. And honestly, that's exactly what's going to happen because that Michigan defense they're going to sneak in there. And then how can you handle pressure? Because if you can't handle it well, you're throwing interceptions. We already have a couple pick sixes this season. Am I telling the future? That'd be pretty cool. But I would take Michigan by probably 21 points. I mean, yes, I'm a diehard fan, but realistically, that's what I would do. It just makes more sense. I think Penn State is always going to be that 2-3 loss team every single season because they can't beat the two main teams. They're third in the big three. Michigan's first, Ohio State's second, Penn State's third. And I don't know what it's going to take for them, but whatever it takes. Next up, we're at same at 12 o'clock. We have Alabama, number 8, going to Kansas. 12 o'clock. Alabama's favored 11. Over-under's 47.5. So I think Alabama's finally hitting their stride. I don't see them losing any games this season. I think it's an SEC showdown between them and Georgia, and I think that's going to be an amazing matchup. And I truly mean, like, that might be the one where it's like, all right, 2 SEC teams are getting into the top 4. It's going to be one of those. It's just, and that's not what anybody wants at all, because let's be real, I don't think any more than one conference should be in the top 4. But that's why we got to wait till next year when they extend the playoffs. A couple other games that we can go ahead and talk about. 3:30, we got the University of Miami, MIA, going against Florida State at Florida State. 3:30, Florida State is up, favored 14 right now. Vegas says, 14. Over-under's 51.5. So these are two of my top teams going against each other. Obviously, Miami is more for Danny than anything, and Florida State I've been a fan of since I've moved back. Since I've been in Florida. If there's a game Florida State's going to choke up and lose, it's going to be this one. The Florida one too, sure, but I'm saying this is the game. If Florida State does not show up and score early, they're going to lose. On the flip side, if Florida State starts scoring, they go up 14 points at any point of this game, it's over. Miami's just not fit for it. Tyler Van Dyke is just, no disrespect to him, phenomenal, talented man, young man, but he's not that it factor. The piss poor coach calling alone is enough for me to go on a rant for hours and hours. I was just talking to Danny about this the other day, where it's the bad play calling. It's the lack of football culture in Miami anymore. That's why Miami's always going to have 7, 8 wins a season. Sometimes they'll scrape away with 10. Won't ever get close to the conference championship. And until they can prove me wrong, that's what it is. You know, I have no beef with Miami. I love Miami. Been to so many games. It's been ridiculous, but they're just not that team. They're losing the teams they shouldn't lose to. Their only big win is against Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's not even great this year. I got nothing. You know, I think Florida State should probably blow them out, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami pulled out a close win. Here's a ranked matchup at 3:30. We have two of them back to back. So we're going to go with Utah at Washington. 18 Utah, 5 Washington. Washington's line is 9.5. That's not bad. About 10-point line. That's not bad. Over/under is 49.5. I would take the over. This is going to be a shootout unless Washington just snuffs Utah offensively, which even then I still think Washington can score more than 49 points if they really wanted to. I'd probably take the over on that.
You feel calm and ready to take control of your budget. You base your budget on needs, wants, and savings. Now you're on your way to a stronger home budget. Keep going.
I didn't realize that audio was going through, so I hope that you guys didn't really hear a whole lot of it. I think Washington wins it. Another blowout. Next game is going to be Tennessee at Missouri. 2 points by Tennessee. It's going to be a close game. I think Missouri pulls this one out. Missouri's having a good season, and they lost to Georgia. Well, so what? It's a good season for them. And then there's 2 more games I really want to talk about for different reasons. Number 9 Ole Miss at number 2 Georgia. That's a night game. That's going to be great. I think it's going to be a shootout, and if Georgia's going to lose a game, it's this one. It has to be this one. If they don't lose this one, then I just don't see them losing at all, in all honesty. The line's 10.5 Georgia, 58.5 is the over/under. I take the under on that. I don't think it's that. It's going to be a defensive battle. I probably see Georgia covering that 10.5. I think they get 14, 13. I think it's close in the first half. If that matters for anybody. Does that matter? Does the first half really matter? And then the last game I just want to talk about is Ohio State, Michigan State. Michigan State's at Ohio State, 31.5 over/under. Ohio State's going to win this game. I'm curious about how much do they win this game. Because if they just barely just squeak this one out, that's going to be an issue. Like, if they squeak this one out and Michigan goes and just beats Penn State like I think they will, that's going to cause that, okay, maybe we should look at this. Because Michigan just blew out Michigan State. Now, can Ohio State do the exact same thing? And we were at Michigan State, so they should, demolish them. I hope Ohio State puts up points because I want them at their best. But I hope that their quarterback can kind of step up and do what he's got to do, because if not, that's going to be a huge issue down the road. So yeah, that's this season. That's this week. That's this week. I'm happy we got to fumble around with some new transitions. Of course, it's we're going to have to keep working on some of it, but that's okay, right? But yeah, guys, I appreciate everyone for watching as always. I'm Eric. It's been fun. Danny should be back eventually, but if not, we'll just run it with me. It is what it is. I think we're doing pretty good. This season's going to be a good season, so I can't wait to see what happens. As always, go Blue, go Canes, go Florida State. I know that's doesn't make sense, but hey, man, it's my teams. At least I could say it. But anyway, have a great weekend. Enjoy some college football, and just, go love somebody, go hug somebody. Peace.